Do this between 3 am to 5 am. It can change your entire destiny. My dear friends, the world is asleep when the clock strikes this sacred hour. The silence of the night is not emptiness, it is an invitation. Between 3 am and 5 am, nature itself is whispering to us, offering a rare window where our mind is fresh, our soul is open, and our distractions are at rest. The question is, are you awake to receive it? This time is known in ancient wisdom as the Brahma Muhurta, the time of creation, the time when the energy of the universe is most supportive for self-transformation. At this hour, your mind is not overloaded with noise, your phone is not buzzing, the world is not demanding your attention. It's just you and the opportunity to design your life. Think about it. When the rest of the world is chasing sleep, the few who rise are chasing greatness. It's not just about waking up early. It's about what you do with those precious 2 hours. This is the time to meditate, to pray, to read, to reflect, to exercise, to plan. This is the time to connect with your higher self before you connect with the world. Consistency is the secret here. Anyone can wake up early once in a while. But only those who wake up daily with discipline, who show up for themselves when no one is watching, truly rise to their potential. If you can conquer your bed in those hours, you can conquer your fears in life. If you can win your mornings, you can win your future. The world may say, I don't have time. But those who rise between 3 am and 5 am don't find time, they create it. And that's the difference between living a life of regret and living a life of purpose. So my friends, tomorrow when the clock strikes 3, don't just roll over and snooze your dreams. Rise, pray, meditate, reflect, create, consistently. Because what you do in those hours will echo in the life you live outside of them. Remember, the secret of transformation lies not in big leaps, but in small steps repeated every single day. Do this between 3 am and 5 am, and watch your entire destiny shift. The sacred hour of transformation, my friends, is not an ordinary moment that slips away unnoticed. It is that divine window between 3 am and 5 am, a time wrapped in silence, covered in stillness, and charged with energy that the world often ignores. While most people are lost in the depths of their sleep, there exists a secret that the wise, the spiritual, the successful, and the deeply purposeful have always embraced. It is in this time that the human soul is most open to transformation, the mind most ready to receive, and the body most capable of aligning with the rhythm of nature itself. When you wake up in this sacred hour, the first thing you notice is the quiet. No phones buzzing, no traffic honking, no people rushing, no responsibilities calling your name. Just you and the silence of existence. And in that silence lies a power that most people never tap into. In that silence lies clarity, clarity about who you are, what you want, and what truly matters. You see, when the noise of the world dies down, the voice of the soul finally has a chance to speak. The problem is, so few people listen. They sleep through the very time when the universe is whispering its secrets. It is called the Brahma Muhurta in ancient wisdom, the hour of creation. Imagine it, the entire cosmos is resetting, the atmosphere is calm, the energy currents are pure, and your mind, still untouched by the chaos of the day, is like a blank canvas. What you write on that canvas during these hours has the power to shape your entire day, your entire mindset, and ultimately your entire destiny. It is the seed time of the soul. Sow peace here and peace will grow. Sow discipline here and discipline will spread. Sow vision here and vision will carry you forward through the storms of life. Think about it. Why do athletes, leaders, monks, and thinkers rise before dawn? Because they know that the human brain is sharper at this time, the body more willing, and the spirit more grounded. Between 3 am and 5 am, your brain produces higher levels of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that brings calmness and focus. Melatonin, the hormone that guides sleep, is fading, and your body is shifting into a state of natural balance. If you use this state to scroll on your phone, you waste it. But if you use it to meditate, to read, to exercise, or to reflect, you multiply its impact tenfold. The sacred hour is not just about being awake, it is about being alive. Waking up at 3 a.m. and complaining, dragging yourself, or lying in bed is not transformation. The true transformation comes when you take those hours and consciously dedicate them to your higher self. Imagine starting your day not by reacting to notifications, but by listening to your breath. Not by rushing into emails, but by reflecting on gratitude. Not by worrying about problems, but by praying for guidance. The energy you create in those hours spills into every conversation, every decision, and every challenge you face during the day. Now, many people ask, why can't I just do all this later in the day? The truth is, you can, but the impact is not the same. Later in the day, the world is awake, and you are pulled in 100 directions. Your mind is already filled with noise, pressure, and distractions. At 3 am, the world is quiet, and so is your mind. It is easier to focus, easier to connect, easier to align. That is why this time has been called sacred across cultures. From yogis in India, to monks in Tibet, to saints in Christianity, to warriors in Japan. They all knew the secret: if you can win these hours, you can win your life. There is also a psychological dimension. When you rise while the world sleeps, you feel a sense of accomplishment, a sense of victory. It is as though you have stolen time from the universe. You create hours that most people never use. And this victory gives you momentum. By the time the world wakes up, you are already steps ahead. You have already nourished your soul, exercised your body, planned your day, and set your intentions. Imagine the confidence that gives you. Imagine the power of walking into the world already charged with energy while others are just yawning into their first cup of coffee. But my dear friends, none of this matters if you do not embrace consistency. The sacred hour is not a miracle that works in one night. It is not a shortcut to success. It is a discipline. It is a commitment. The first few days your body will resist. Your mind will beg you to stay in bed. The comfort of sleep will seem sweeter than the discipline of awakening. But remember, this transformation is never found in comfort. Transformation is found in challenge, in sacrifice, in rising when every cell in your body says, stay down. If you can rise once, you will taste the victory. If you can rise daily, you will taste transformation. Consistency is what makes the sacred hour truly sacred. If you show up once, it feels good. If you show up for weeks, it changes your habit. If you show up for months, it changes your character. And if you show up for years, it changes your destiny. This is why the greatest achievers in history are early risers. They did not just wake up early, they consistently used that time for something greater than themselves. So, what should you do when you rise between 3 am and 5 am? Start simple. Sit in silence. Breathe. Feel your heart beating. Thank the universe for another day of life. Let your gratitude set the tone. Then, if you are spiritual, pray. If you are reflective, journal. If you are focused on growth, read. If you are disciplined, exercise. But do something that nourishes you, not drains you. Do something that connects you to who you truly are, not just who the world wants you to be. Imagine this practice over time. Imagine months of rising in the sacred hour, filling your soul with clarity, your mind with wisdom, and your body with strength. Imagine how your relationships would improve if you started each day with peace rather than stress. Imagine how your career would accelerate if you began every morning with focus rather than distraction. Imagine how your health would flourish if your body was consistently given energy and discipline. The sacred hour plants seeds that you will reap not just in your mornings, but in your entire life. This, my friends, is the secret. Between 3 am and 5 am, the universe opens a door. You can choose to walk through it, or you can choose to sleep. The choice is yours. But remember, while you sleep, life does not wait. Time does not pause. Opportunities do not freeze. Every morning is a new beginning, a new chance to align with who you can become. Do not waste it. Wake up in the sacred hour. Be consistent. Use the silence not to escape life but to design it. Use the stillness not to delay your dreams but to accelerate them. Because when you transform your mornings, you transform your life. And when you transform your life, you inspire others to rise with you. That, my friends, is how a single habit can ripple into the transformation of families, communities, and even the world. Do this between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. and watch not just your mornings, but your entire destiny unfold with light. What you do matters more than just waking up, my friends. Rising between 3 am and 5 am is powerful, yes, but the real magic lies not in the act of opening your eyes, but in what you choose to do once you are awake. You see, many people think that success comes from simply getting up early, but if you rise at 3 am only to waste your time scrolling through your phone, complaining about life, or sitting in idleness, then you have missed the very essence of this practice. The sacred hour is not about bragging rights. It is about purposeful living. When the world is asleep and you have stolen these precious hours, you are gifted with a blank canvas. Now imagine holding a brush, but instead of painting something beautiful, you scribble random lines and waste the canvas. That is what waking up without purpose looks like. But if you use your brush with intention, if you paint with gratitude, wisdom, focus, and discipline, you create a masterpiece each morning that colors the rest of your day. Think about it this way: when a farmer wakes up early, he doesn't just sit by his field and stare. He plants seeds, he waters, he nurtures. The early morning is valuable only because of what he does with it. Similarly, when you rise in the sacred hours, you must plant seeds in your mind and soul. Seeds of peace, seeds of discipline, seeds of clarity. And with consistency, those seeds grow into strength, confidence, and success. So, what should you actually do in those hours? Begin with stillness. Sit quietly. Breathe deeply. Center yourself. This small act grounds your mind and body before the chaos of the day begins. Then, give your mind the nourishment it needs. Read something uplifting, reflect on wisdom, or write down your thoughts in a journal. This clears the clutter and sets a focused direction. Next, move your body. Exercise, stretch, or simply walk. This fills your system with energy and prepares you physically for the demands of life. And finally, connect with the divine. Pray, meditate, or simply express gratitude. By aligning with something higher than yourself, you anchor your day in faith and purpose. Notice, my friends, none of this requires wealth, none of this requires fame, none of this requires privilege. It only requires intention. The greatest gift of the sacred hours is that they belong equally to all. The poor and the rich, the strong and the weak, the young and the old, we all have these hours. But only those who use them wisely rise above the rest. Now let's reflect on why what you do matters more than the act of waking. Imagine two people. One wakes up at 3 am, but spends 2 hours drifting between laziness and distraction, only to feel tired and unfulfilled. The other wakes up at 5 am, an hour later, but spends that 1 hour meditating, exercising, and planning their day. Who do you think gains more? It is not about the clock. It is about the consciousness you bring to the time you are given. The real victory is not in the alarm clock ringing. It is in the discipline of your actions. In fact, the greatest danger of waking early without purpose is self-deception. You may feel proud that you woke up at 3 am, but if your hours are wasted, then pride becomes your biggest trap. The ego whispers, "At least you're awake," but the soul quietly asks, "But what have you done with it?" True transformation begins when you answer that question honestly. Let me share an image with you. Picture a lamp. If you light it and place it in a corner without cleaning the glass, its light will remain dim, no matter how early you lit it. But if you polish the glass, if you keep it clear, then the light shines bright and illuminates everything around. Your early rising is the lighting of the lamp. Your actions, your meditation, gratitude, reflection, and exercise are the polishing of the glass. Without both, there is no true light. What you do in those hours also sets the rhythm for the rest of the day. If you begin in distraction, your whole day is scattered. If you begin with focus, your whole day is aligned. Think of it like tuning an instrument. If a musician spends the first few minutes of rehearsal tuning his violin, the entire performance flows beautifully. But if he ignores the tuning, every note sounds off, no matter how skilled he is. Your morning practices are your tuning. The performance is your day, and the audience is your life. Now, some people might argue, I'm not spiritual, I don't meditate, I don't pray. Does this still apply to me? The answer is yes, absolutely. The sacred hour is not about following a ritual, it is about finding practices that connect you to your highest self. For one person, it might be prayer, for another, it might be writing, for another, it might be exercise, for another, it might be reading something inspiring. The activity itself is less important than the intention behind it. The question is, does it nourish you, strengthen you, and align you? If the answer is yes, then that is your practice. The truth is, success in life does not come from big dramatic acts. It comes from small, consistent choices. What you do between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. might look small to others. Sitting quietly, journaling, meditating, exercising, it doesn't look glamorous. But these small acts create massive inner shifts. They shape your thoughts, your habits, your emotions, your health, and your spirit. Over time, those inner shifts create outer success. Greatness is not born in the spotlight. It is born in the silence of the early hours, when no one is watching. So, the next time you wake up in the sacred hour, remember, don't just be awake, be alive. Don't just sit idle, invest those moments. Don't just look at the clock, look within yourself. Ask, how can I use this time to grow? And then do it every single day. Because waking early without purpose is just sleep in another form. But waking early with action is transformation. And here lies the beauty. You don't need to spend hours. Even 20 focused minutes of prayer, 20 minutes of reading, and 20 minutes of exercise can change your entire mindset. It is the quality of the actions, not the length, that makes the difference. A drop of pure water has more power than a gallon of polluted water. In the same way, a few minutes of intentional practice has more impact than hours of unconscious wandering. So, my friends, do not fall into the trap of thinking, I woke up, so I am winning. No. You are winning only when you wake up and use that time to build yourself. When you feed your soul with wisdom, your mind with clarity, and your body with strength, then you are truly winning. What you do matters more than just waking up. The clock will only tell you the time, but your actions will decide how you use that time. Rise and then act. Wake and then grow. Do not let the sacred hour slip into waste. Do not let your victory of rising be stolen by distraction. Make your mornings purposeful, and your life will become powerful. Because in the end, it is not the alarm clock that changes your destiny, it is what you do after it rings. Consistency over occasional effort, my friends, is the real difference between a momentary spark and a lifelong fire. Anyone can wake up early once in a while. Anyone can read a book for a day, meditate for a week, or exercise for a few mornings. But the ones who rise every day with discipline, the ones who keep showing up no matter how they feel, those are the ones who experience transformation. Greatness is not built on bursts of effort, it is built on the quiet, steady rhythm of consistency. Think about it. A single drop of water falling on a rock makes no difference. But drops that fall again and again, over months and years, carve valleys into stone. That is the power of consistency. Not force, not speed, not intensity, but persistence. Similarly, you may think that waking up one morning between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is enough to change your life. No, it feels good, but it does not transform you. Transformation happens when you wake up every morning, even when you don't feel like it, even when the bed feels warmer, even when the excuses whisper louder. Each time you resist comfort and choose growth, you strengthen the muscle of discipline. Many people fail because they expect quick results. They meditate for a week and say, I don't feel peaceful. They exercise for a month and say, I don't see results. They wake up early for a few days and say, it's not working. But life does not reward occasional effort. Life rewards consistency. A seed does not grow into a tree in a week. You water it daily, and over time it roots deeply, stands firmly, and bears fruit. Your practices in the sacred hour are like seeds. Don't expect fruit in a day, nurture them daily, and the results will surprise you in ways you cannot imagine. Consistency is also what builds trust with yourself. When you tell yourself you will wake up, and then you actually do it day after day, you send a message to your mind: I can trust myself. I keep my word. And when you build that trust, you develop confidence. Because confidence is not born from motivational talks, it is born from small promises kept with yourself every single day. If you say, tomorrow I will rise at 4 a.m. and meditate, and you keep that promise, you win. And if you keep winning these small promises consistently, soon you begin to believe in yourself on a deeper level. That self-belief becomes unstoppable. Now let us look at the opposite. Occasional effort is like starting a fire and then walking away. You see a flame, but soon it burns out. Then you complain, why is my life not changing? Because you lit the fire but did not keep feeding it. You cannot cook a meal on a fire you light once a week. You must keep adding wood, keep nurturing the flame, keep it alive. Your habits are the wood. Your consistency is the feeding. Your life is the meal that eventually gets cooked. Without consistency, nothing is ready. Think of a student preparing for exams. If he studies for 10 hours one day and then does nothing for weeks, he will forget everything. But if he studies 2 hours every day, consistently, he builds knowledge and confidence steadily. The same is true for your spiritual, physical, and mental growth. Small daily practices are far more powerful than rare big efforts. Consistency beats intensity because consistency becomes identity. But here is the challenge: consistency is not exciting. It feels repetitive. It feels boring. The mind craves novelty, the ego craves recognition, the body craves comfort. Consistency offers none of these in the short term. That is why so few people master it. Yet consistency is where the gold is buried. It is the quiet work, the unseen effort, the discipline that no one claps for. And yet, years later, people look at your life and say, you are so lucky, you are so talented. They don't see the mornings you woke up, the temptations you resisted, the discipline you built. They see the fruit, but not the watering. They see the victory, but not the practice. Consistency also reshapes your brain. Neuroscience shows that habits, when repeated daily, create strong neural pathways. At first, waking up early feels like climbing a mountain. Your body resists, your mind complains. But the more you repeat it, the more automatic it becomes. Soon, you don't fight with yourself to rise, you just rise. You don't think twice about meditating, you just meditate. This is the gift of consistency. It turns discipline into nature. It turns effort into ease. Let me give you an image. Imagine two people planting bamboo. The first waters it daily, even though nothing seems to grow for years. The second waters for a week and then gives up. What happens? For years, both see no result. But after 5 years, the first farmer sees his bamboo shoot up, sometimes growing 90 feet in just 6 weeks. Why? Because all those years, the roots were growing strong underground. The second farmer sees nothing, because he stopped watering. Life is like that bamboo. Your efforts may seem invisible at first, but consistency builds invisible roots. When the breakthrough comes, it looks sudden to others, but you know it was years of silent discipline. This is why, my friends, occasional effort can make you feel good, but it cannot make you great. Only consistency can do that. Anyone can be motivated for a day, but motivation fades. Discipline and consistency sustain. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't brush once a week for hours and then skip the rest. You brush daily for a few minutes. That's how health is maintained. In the same way, your soul, your mind, and your body require daily care. The sacred hour between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is your daily brushing of the soul. Miss it, and slowly the dirt of the world piles up. Keep it, and you remain clear, fresh, and strong. Now you may wonder, but what if I fail? What if I miss a day? What if I fall back? And the answer is simple: start again. Consistency does not mean perfection. It means persistence. You may stumble, you may fall, but don't quit. Remember, even missing one day doesn't destroy your habit. It's quitting that destroys it. Show yourself grace, but don't give yourself excuses. Forgive yourself for slipping, but never accept staying down. The moment you rise again, you are still consistent. Because consistency is about the long run, not a single slip. Here's the most beautiful truth: consistency compounds. At first, the results seem invisible. Then they grow slowly. And suddenly, they explode. This is called the compound effect. Like money in the bank, the small deposits of discipline, when done daily, build into wealth that shocks you. 10 push ups today may mean nothing. 10 push ups every day for a year transform your body. Reading one page today may seem pointless. Reading daily for a year makes you wiser than most. Writing your gratitude for 5 minutes each morning may seem small. Doing it daily for a lifetime makes you peaceful beyond measure. So, my dear friends, let me remind you, the sacred hour is not won in a single day. It is won in the discipline of many days. What matters is not that you wake up once, but that you wake up daily. What matters is not that you meditate once, but that you meditate every day. What matters is not that you rise with discipline once, but that you make it your nature. Occasional effort creates moments. Consistency creates character. And character, ultimately, shapes destiny. Do not underestimate the quiet power of showing up again and again, especially when no one is watching. That is the furnace where greatness is forged. Wake up, yes, but more than that, wake up daily. Act, yes, but more than that, act consistently. Because when effort becomes consistency, and consistency becomes identity, transformation is no longer a dream. It becomes your reality. Creating time instead of finding it, my friends, is one of the most powerful lessons you can learn about life, success, and personal transformation. Most people live as if time is a fixed resource, as if the hours of the day are handed to them and they have no control over them. They say, "I don't have time," as if it is a fact rather than a choice. The truth is, time is abundant, but how you use it is what makes life scarce or rich. The difference between those who succeed and those who struggle is not more hours in the day. It is the ability to create time where others see none. Waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is the ultimate example of creating time. While the world sleeps, you are awake. While others are scrolling, complaining, or wasting precious moments, you are building your life. You are not asking for extra hours, you are claiming them. You are creating moments that belong entirely to you, unpolluted by distraction, unclaimed by responsibility. This is how the greatest thinkers, leaders, and spiritual masters have achieved so much. They did not wait for time to appear. They made it. Let us reflect on the illusion of finding time. When people say, "I don't have time to meditate, to exercise, to plan my day, to reflect on life," what they are really saying is, "I choose other things over this." And there is nothing wrong with choice. But when your dreams, your health, and your growth are sacrificed because you did not create time, you begin to live a life that is not fully yours. You allow the chaos of the world to dictate your schedule rather than your purpose. This is why creating time is not a luxury, it is a necessity. The sacred hours of 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. teach us how to create time. No one can distract you. There are no meetings, no calls, no urgent emails. It is your time, pure, unbroken, and full of potential. But here is the key: simply being awake is not enough. You must dedicate these hours to what matters. These hours are the fertile soil in which you can plant the seeds of clarity, wisdom, health, and vision. You cannot plant seeds in chaos. You cannot nurture growth in distraction. Time created intentionally becomes time multiplied. Think about your daily routine. Most people spend hours reacting to the world, answering messages, commuting, dealing with problems, worrying about what others think. They are always busy, yet nothing meaningful gets done. This is the paradox: being busy is not the same as being productive. Creating time, on the other hand, means stepping out of the reactive cycle and designing your life consciously. It means giving yourself the gift of hours that belong solely to your dreams, your soul, and your growth. Creating time also builds discipline. When you rise before dawn, you are telling yourself, "I am in control of my life. I decide how to spend my hours." This simple act of claiming time strengthens your character. Every time you choose growth over comfort, clarity over distraction, purpose over passivity, you reinforce the habit of self mastery. And over time, this habit multiplies. You begin to find pockets of time in places others overlook. You start your day with focus rather than reaction. You end your day with satisfaction rather than regret. Let's consider an example. Imagine two people with the same 24 hours. One complains, "I don't have time." The other wakes up at 4 a.m., meditates, plans the day, exercises, and aligns with purpose. By the time the first person is starting their day, the second person has already invested hours in growth, clarity, and energy. The second person has created time to become stronger, wiser, and more productive. They haven't found extra hours magically, they made them. This is the essence of creating time. Creating time also shapes priorities. When you rise early, you are forced to ask yourself, what truly matters? If you have only 2 hours before the world wakes up, you cannot waste them on meaningless activities. You must invest them where the return is highest, not in scrolling social media, not in distraction, but in your health, your mind, your spirit, and your vision. This clarity carries through your entire day. You no longer drift from one task to another. You no longer let the clock decide your life. You decide your life, and the clock becomes your ally rather than your master. Another profound aspect of creating time is the ripple effect it produces. When you dedicate early hours to growth, the impact is not limited to those 2 hours.